Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Combined Finance and General Purposes Committee and Personnel Committee meeting of Tuesday, 12th of September. First item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
I've had apologies from Councillor Oakes, N. Oakes.
Right.
Did they give a reason?
Yes, he said that he would be in London.
Okay.
That's presumably still the family issue.
Yeah, I
Have you
think,
got
yeah.
somebody expecting twins or something dramatic?
That's
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Sue's daughter-in-law is expecting twins, I think in October.
Right.
So that's close to happening. They're
Well,
likely to be...
was going to be delivering them or something.
I think there'll be even more after the birth than there is before, with one other child as well to look after, I think.
Volunteer for that. I expect there'll be a toast to celebrate afterwards.
Do we accept the apology?
Yes.
Right, declarations of interest. To receive and consider any declarations of interest from members and officers under Section 50 of the Local Government Act 2000, our Standing Order 35. This requirement applies only in respect of matters which are to be considered by the Council at this meeting. So, first of all, to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests. No. To declare any other interests. No. Representations from interested parties. We have nobody in the room. You've heard nothing from anybody.
No.
Consideration of requests from interested parties. Nothing received. Okay, we shall move on to 1721. Minutes of the previous meetings. Finance and General Purpose meeting. Proposition to approve and sign the minutes of the Finance and General Purpose and Personnel Committee meeting held on the 11th of July 2017 as an accurate record, Standing Order 10C. I have a proposer, Councillor Glenn. If you've all had a look, do I have a seconder?
Raise an issue, briefly,
Yes.
very briefly. Where an interest has been declared, another interest, I notice it doesn't actually say anything more about what that interest was on the minute.
Oh, it should do. It should normally, I normally put the item next to it.
Well, it indicates the item, but it doesn't indicate why an interest was declared in respect of that item. I'm just wondering whether that was...
I've not normally put that. I normally just put it's related to the item.
I just wonder whether it should really, in the sense that somebody reading it would be none the wiser at all about what that interest was.
What have we always done?
Well, my recollection was I thought we used to do it, but it may well be that we haven't done it for ages, and I haven't really sort of particularly noticed. It just struck me when I looked at this one that...
Do we actually declare, other than to say that we have an interest in item whatever, do we actually always say what that interest might be?
Not always. Sometimes, I think, looking at this one, I think you did.
I mean, I know what I said.
Yes, I know what you said.
It was connected with
but-
the...
I suppose what you could say is that a person looking at that would assume that you've got an interest with the Alder Festival of Music and Drama.
Well,
And then it would possibly be up to them as to whether they look into it any further.
I don't think it's necessarily going into the detail, it just opening up a can of worms if we do that. So, if we declare an interest, you're out anyway, so nobody can attack you for it.
I'm not worried as long as we can...
I suppose if ever you wanted it actually written in the minutes, then you could say,
You could always
please
ask.
can you put that in the minutes?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a happy compromise.
Does that solve your problem?
So was my issue.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, or are there any other issues on the minutes?
I thought that's why you put it.
Seconder from Councillor Chapel.
As well.
Those in favour? And that's unanimous. Okay, we move swiftly on to,
Do you want to sign those? I think we get move on.
yes. And we're at the
So,
12th today, aren't we?
thank you.
Thank you. So we move on to item 1722. 172201, under financial matters. We come on to receive a report from the Head of Finance on his work to verify transactions up to July 2017. Over to Councillor Glenn.
Okay, well I went, Emma and myself had a meeting which lasted 2 or 3 hours, I guess, going through various payments. I can't check every one, but I'll check them. A good selection, and all seem to be in order.
Good.
That's the sort of report I like. Short and everything's working.
Yeah. Okay, should we go to the next part?
Is that it? You want to move on to the next item? Okay, 172202, to receive the bank reconciliation, balance sheet, budget report, that's the income and expenditure report, and hub trading account for July 2017. Again, Councillor Glenn.
Well, the bank reconciliation shows we've got £8.30. This is as of 31st of the 7th, 2017, at £8.32 in the current account. While Paul's here, I presume that this automatically comes down, does it, rather than going into overdraft?
It automatically comes down.
Yeah. But of course, that is there will be money in there that they'll offset against transactions that haven't been paid. And the reserve accounts of 130,000 and 189,000, meaning we've got just over 300,000 in reserves. Everything seems to reconcile, so I'm happy with it.
Before those unpresented cheques arrive, presumably we'll have some more income
That's what I'm saying,
coming
yes.
in from
Yeah.
various sources. So,
When does it come in? What's the trigger point
For what?
for the money to be drawn from the other?
There's £10,000 always kept in the current account.
Okay, so as soon as you go below 10,000,
Money gets drawn in from the
Yeah.
reserve account.
okay,
As soon as any money goes in, it gets taken out to the reserve account.
yeah.
And this was based on when we used to get interest.
Yeah.
right.
We get about 40 pence a month now.
Good old days.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on to balance sheet.
Balance sheet. Well, there's nothing you haven't seen already, I think. Buildings, market buildings have been worth over 2 million. Community assets, other assets, about 300,000. Trade debtors, 15,539. I'm a bit concerned about the debtors not being chased quickly enough. I think I mentioned that to you, Emma, didn't I? Yeah, so we need a tighter procedure for collecting debts. There are quite a few, more than 3 months outstanding, and it seems that the staff, although they are quite happy to be more aggressive, seem to think the instruction is to be very polite to people and not chase them too much. So I think that has to change. I mean, after 30 days, somebody will send a letter or give them a call asking for the money, and after 30 days and a month, or whatever the terms are, you start writing to them 10 days later. So we shouldn't have, there's quite a lot of farmers markets and the market debts, so £300 a time, so that should be fun. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Councillor Chester.
The terms, presumably all the market traders, various, 2 markets, different ones, have some kind of a contract or terms of regarding their pitch.
Yes.
Does it say that there is a time limit for paying the rents, etc., and
That's a
what
very
will
good
happen
question.
if they fail? Does Emma know?
Sorry? I think they have the normal terms. I don't think they have any special terms relating to if they haven't paid, they get kicked off.
Do we have our terms on the bottom, printed on the bottom of the invoice?
I'm not sure, but I don't think we...
That's what I'm really asking.
I think we
But
should
what
do.
some of them do, they get an annual invoice, some pay it all in one lump sum, and some pay, in dribs and drabs.
Monthly.
Yeah.
I mean, even for the annual invoices, which is £303.60, well, it's at least from one of these people.
I wouldn't have thought that that's all market traders, though, 15,000.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not. No. There's over 90 days. That's in past period 3. There's 7,694, which is half of it.
What have we got in our...
Sorry.
Have we got a list of the debtors on it?
Do you have a list?
I have got a list.
You have got a list?
Yes, it was sent to me. I don't know why nobody else.
Do you know, I'm just wondering, are there any large ones, like large amount?
Perhaps we
Oh,
ought
yeah,
not,
well, Northamptonshire Highways, that's true.
Yeah.
Oundle Preschool, you
Yeah.
can
The preschool's about
They owe.
2,600, yeah.
perhaps we ought not to read out, as we're public, we ought not to be reading out names of
Not too late, I'm sorry.
debtors.
I think there's also an amount from the county council as well, is there?
Yes.
It's quite large.
So the county council, isn't it?
Sorry?
The county council actually owes money.
Yeah, but that's for their education, but what we do, we invoice them, but they don't ever pay it, not until...
The actual trade
They quarterly.
the actual trade
The
is
invoice
probably...
is raised at the start of the year,
Yeah.
and they've decided they're going to pay it to be 3 months rather than once a year.
Right, okay.
What, for grass cutting?
No, that was one where they wanted an invoice. Otherwise, if we didn't get the invoice to them by a certain date, then they wouldn't pay us the following year.
Right,
So
okay.
the invoice is going to them. Obviously, you can only put a date on that
Right,
they want to
okay.
raising for. But for things like the registrars, they have an annual invoice, but they only pay quarterly.
Right, yeah.
So
That's
it gives
quite a
the
large...
impression that it's
Right.
overdue, but it's
We
not.
account for some of it.
Yeah.
Councillor Peel.
Well, I was going to say two things. I think it's a stupid way to run a business. Because, you know, if people build, they shouldn't really pay, you know? We shouldn't give them these 3 months or 9 months or whatever. Surely they should pay up to 28 days of the invoice.
Well, then the month following, usually.
Well, 28 days after the invoice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we don't, you know, we send them a letter, we ask them for any interest due after, say, a further 28 days, and if not,
Is that an agreement though with the registrars?
it goes to
No, they
court.
decided that's what they're going to do.
In terms and conditions, we should have interest charges
Well, exactly.
and collection charges too.
We should start to sort of, I know we're not a business, I know we're a council, but, you know, I mean, if I open to people, I would get a letter saying, well, if you don't pay in the next 7 days, interest will be charged, and if you don't pay after 28 days, court action will be taken or whatever, you know, and I do the same to my suppliers. I just don't think, just because we're a council, we should be lax in asking for the money that's owed.
No, we've got a duty to the ratepayers to collect the money on their behalf.
So I know
I've
it's
known
not-
other councils to charge interest. I've known things like rate payments, business rates, where councils have actually said there will be a 2% discount if you pay immediately upon request. After that, you may be charged interest beyond 30 days.
I just think, you know, if we're going to...
Certainly in order to do it.
...owe money, then I think we should make it clear that we don't really want to...
We can easily start doing that. We can easily start putting pay within 30 days on the invoice,
Yeah.
and we can chase them.
I just
Things
think
like
it's-
registrars, I will have to look into that, because
Yeah,
obviously
no,
I don't really want to annoy them that much. But yeah, there may be a reason as to why they,
But
that's
you know
how
what I'm
they pay.
saying, don't you? I mean, I honestly can't understand why we don't run the thing more...
But if they're paying quarterly, there's no reason why we can't send a quarterly invoice.
Well, exactly. Yeah,
And we just do it that way instead of sending an annual invoice.
yeah, because
Then it doesn't
if
look
we
like
Then it
have-
doesn't look Doesn't look like a debt.
It doesn't look as though people owe us money if they don't owe us money.
And we can identify and chase it more quickly.
Yeah, that's, yeah, so we can
And I
look
don't
at
think
things
there's
like
any need to give a discount for people that pay on time. If they don't pay early, then there's an argument for it, but then our cash flow is pretty strong anyway, so there's no advantage to us.
No.
So,
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to move on to income and expenditure? If that's everything on the balance sheet, or do you have some more?
no, I don't want to balance sheet.
Okay.
Income and expenditure, P&L account. All seems to be sailing along quite nicely with the budget. There are a few odds and ends which may need explaining. For example, there's a grant which we didn't expect, or it wasn't budgeted for, so it wasn't expected. In the income, that's the War Memorial Grant, 2,696. Was it all War Memorial? Paul, like most of it was, wasn't it?
And there's War Memorial 2,170.
Yeah.
And there's the Neighbourhood Plan 1 for 6,007.
Yeah. And then, under expenditure, the major differences are courthouse costs, office costs, which are, what's this now? Sorry. Neighbourhood, which include neighbourhood plan of 4,100. That's 7,950 compared with 3,929 budget. 4,100 is neighbourhood plan, and we also had Sage, and nearly £1,000 on that. I think everything is more or less in range as expected. So the net profit and loss is net loss of 26,729 as opposed to a budgeted amount of 37,000. That is very slightly different from the profit and loss on the balance sheet, and I've seen that because it's done at a different date.
Yeah, we're looking at the side at different time.
So,
We're trying to happen again.
okay, has anybody got any questions on it?
No, I think we've got still 88,000. That was end of July. I think we'll spend our expenditure is the order of that money. We'll have some income to add to that. I think we should be okay to the half year when the next precept arrives. I think which will arrive end of September, beginning of October. Anything else on the income and expenditure?
No.
Okay. We move on then to the hub trading account.
Are you doing that?
You can.
It's just you did it last time.
Okay. I can do it if you wish.
You can
Find it. You better do it.
We've had a look at what income and expenditure we've had on direct costs and direct income on the hub through April, May, June and July, and income for April was particularly low, but we've recovered well since. July is generally a quiet month for the hub because of the school holidays and things like ballet and other things not going on, people away who regularly use the hub, so income is down, but it's only marginally down as a income for the whole month. Expenditure is down to go with it, so that's encouraging. We only had 1 month when we were in profit, and that was only £11.87, so it's effectively a break even. but we've had losses, and on top of those losses, of course, we have the overhead costs for this building to add in. Their proportion, pro rata to their size, they have some of those building costs to go in as well. If we look at the second page of the Hub trading account, you can see where the money came in cash. The PDQ is the card receipts, so it's roughly 2/3 cash, 1/3 card over the period of the 4 months. We've got the staff costs there, which is the team leaders and the 0 hours staff. You can see there national insurance payments, pension payments, and then you can see the other costs down there. The one that isn't showing on there, and I didn't see it last month either, is the rental of the EPOS system.
Isn't that done quarterly from all I remember?
I think it's done. I think it comes in as an annual bill, but we're paying a debit, I think, monthly for it. I think they take a direct debit each month.
£30.
£30.
So
£30 plus £6 VAT. Yeah.
Is it within the rental contracts? Is it all included in that?
It might be. I'd have to look and say.
Yeah, I can't get into it.
You get one annual
Annual
invoice per year, but they take the money as a direct debit from our bank account each month of £30.
Yes.
But it's not showing in here at all. I mean, it's a small, tiny amount of money, but it's a cost that's missed off. So overall, over the 4 months, we're down just over £6,000 in 4 months. And then we've got the overhead costs for the building on top of that. So that's the trading situation. We are now having a look at what we're selling, what we're charging for it, and trying to tighten up on that a bit.
Then on man hours and stuff as well. So.
Yeah, we're also looking at our shifts,
Yeah.
and what hours we're opening and closing, and what hours of the day make money and lose money. That's the other thing that we're looking at. We've got that kind of information off the EPOS system, so we can actually look at that and work out when it's economic to trade and when it's not. So with all of that information, we hope to tighten things up.
The other thing I would add is that oh sorry.
No, you can't.
I've got August figures, takings figures, and now about £2,000 up. I think £2,000. So it's going in the right direction.
Mr. Chairman, may I start?
Councillor Peel.
Firstly, I'd like to apologise. I'm not going to attend the meetings on Friday. I think I made my points when it came to the one meeting.
Yes.
I still think it is relevant that we should look, I think personally, at sort of getting some sort of idea of what would be the benefits of expanding the hub.
Yes.
Rather than decreasing the hub. And I also think we ought to have some better quality of evening type meals to increase expenditure. Now, increase turnover. Now, I know obviously that means that employee costs will go up, but I really do think we have an opportunity to actually make the hub an early evening cafe type situation where we have decent meals at good prices cooked by a decent chef. And that's been my point right from the start. I think what we're doing at the moment is tickling around the edges, and we're not going to get anywhere because there are other people in the centre of town that are doing the same thing, or albeit slightly more expensive, but because they're in the centre of the town, they're attracting the business, and because we're slightly out of the town, we're not getting as much business as we could do if we upped our game. And I still think we should try and up our game. I know, as I say, I've only been to one meeting, and I just think that, in a way, the hub now has got to a situation where it opens at X, it closes at X, and there's no flexibility to open earlier or be later. It's getting almost like a closed shop. At sort of 4:35 o'clock or whatever the time it is, it closes and everybody is on the go at that time. They don't want any sort of flexibility. And I think, you know, if you're going to keep the hub open, and I'm not trying to sort of be a whole when I say this, but if we keep losing money like that, I honestly can't see why we're keeping the hub open and why we're actually getting an extension to the kitchen if we're not going to take it more seriously than we are doing at the moment. So I do apologise that I only came to the one meeting and that I haven't had time to sort of, you know, go into it more deeply, and I would if I had the time, but I just haven't at the moment.
We realise pressure's on you with your business.
I just think that we're just playing at it at the moment, and it's doing no good to the hub as a whole, because you know I'll give you an example just so you know. I mean, my staff, we work from I started my staff at 8:30 till 5 o'clock. What happened was I found that my staff were coming in at 8:30 and then taking 15 minutes to go to the toilet or having a cigarette break or having a cup of coffee or whatever like that. And at 4:45, they were starting to lock up and go home. I then had to sit them all down and say, look, I'm sorry, your time is, you start work at 8:30 and you finish at 5 o'clock. So you've got to be in from 8:15 and leave after 5 o'clock. Don't close unless I give them permission because it's been such a dull, miserable day, which doesn't happen very often. So I think, you know, I think that creeping earliness and you know, sort of almost negative feel is starting to happen, where people are starting to sort of say, well, I'm going to go home now because we're not doing any business, we'll go home 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early. And I think maybe that's starting to creep in.
What evidence have you got for that?
Well, I think you're wrong there.
All I'm saying is,
Talk one at a time.
The flexibility I don't think is there, and I think we must, from what I heard last time, I'm only going on the one meeting I had, Malcolm, and I'm not criticising, all I'm saying is what I heard when I was at that meeting. I just think we've got to have more flexibility. We've got to say to people, look, you know, let's open at 5:30, let's open till 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Let's produce something different. Because if you don't, as I say, I think the people that work there, the two ladies that I spoke to were very, very good and very open. But I honestly think that if something doesn't happen soon, we're going to be in a meeting in less than 12 months' time and saying, well, we've got to close it down. And when we're putting that sort of money into a new kitchen facility, we've actually got to sit as a finance committee and say, well, hang on, isn't that kitchen going to be better used as something else?
Yes.
Which we can't. I don't think we can get that planning thing done now, but whether we, you know, if we don't sort of get better value for money from there, is it worth putting the kitchen in there? Is it worth just saying, well, we're going to only do that, let's finish that? Sorry, Councillor Chappell.
Councillor Chappell. I'll respond to that in a bit because I've got some answers for
There's a
you.
egg about this though, isn't there? I mean, what you've just described about the analysis that's being carried out to try and work out when and where it's more profitable and so on may lead to the kind of flexibility that Councillor Peel was talking about.
Yes, it almost certainly will.
But trying to develop it in the way that Councillor Peel was talking about won't happen and probably can't happen unless you have the kitchen extension. And when we have got the kitchen extension, we're actually going to go through another fairly protracted period of trying to work out how best to utilise it and get the public used to the fact that there are wider facilities here than they've been used to. So whilst I looked at those figures and slightly blanched at the thought that if that carried on over a year, that's a fairly significant loss and certainly nowhere near the relative break-even point that we were aiming at.
No.
I do feel that we have got to take a slightly longer-term view on this. What I would want to therefore ask is, where are we with the kitchen extension and when do we think that might be on the stream?
Well, has anybody else got any more questions?
I'd like to come back to Councillor Chappell. I actually believe that we could actually make a success of the hub with a proper equipped kitchen. But when I was at that meeting, it was almost said to us, well, we can't do any more, even with more. We can't cook, we can't do this, we can't do that. And that's why I said it sounded negative to me. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Councillor Chester.
We don't have that many covers. It's not a practical.
No, the point is, if you don't give it a go, you're never going to find out.
Yeah.
But you know from how many covers you have to make the kind of thing that you're wanting to.
Can I come back then with the answers?
Yes,
as
please.
far as I've got them. We know that the way the hub is operating at the moment is never going to attract enough clientele during the sort of hub opening hours that we've got at the moment to make any money or break even. We knew right from the moment that we took it over from the way it was being run before that we needed to do something else. The idea they had of outside catering, I think they're going in there into something we're not kitted up for. We would need massive kitchens to prepare stuff to take out for outside catering, and it's a very competitive market and we're just not geared up to it. So that was, I think, a non-starter from the word go. What could turn it round is this corporate entertaining, using our rooms here for corporate functions on an average of 1 per week in each of the rooms, Barnwell, Glapthorne and the Oundle Suite. We could get enough people in here and if they had the full catering with it, that is lunch, mid-morning coffee and biscuits, afternoon tea and cake and that sort of thing being sold to them as part of the package, we could then bring in the kind of money that will turn those losses into a surplus. That's one part of the answer, and we need pretty quickly now to get on and get some corporate bookings in and make that happen. We did very well when we had the gas board here. You know, it's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. When the gas was off all over Oundle and everybody was in a muddle, the hub was busy. We had the gas board using our rooms as a help centre, and they were buying stuff downstairs. They opened an account with us and spent quite a lot of money with us. And they paid us corporate rates for the rooms. So that kind of booking, if we can get those on a regular basis, and we don't want that sort of crisis to get them, we want people coming here for their team building days, their AGMs, their corporate meetings and that, sales meetings and that sort of thing, we could bring in the kind of money that would turn the hub around. So I think that's one answer, and that's where we want to be, that's where the kitchen will come into its own, because at the moment, if we did get one of those bookings, we couldn't do the sort of up to 40, 50 covers that we need to do for that kind of catering, even on sandwiches, soup and cake and stuff, and tea and cake. We, at the moment, couldn't cope with that number of covers, anything more than about 15, and we're struggling. We just haven't got the space. So the kitchen will certainly allow us to do that successfully. So that's going to turn it around. I have some sympathy with your feelings on evening opening. I mean, what the menu might be, we might have slightly different ideas about, but I certainly think that it's worth looking at, because they looked at it last year in the early months. April, I pointed out, was exceedingly low. We had an income of about 4,000-ish. The previous year, they had an income between 8,000 and 9,000. And the difference, when I looked into it, as I said, I did this hour by hour, and the difference all came by being open downstairs while things were on in here, and using the catering facility to go with it, and they were open up until 11 p.m. on some occasions downstairs. So there is some merit in looking at what you're saying, whether it's talking about 3-course meal restaurant type approach, I don't know. We'd have to look at that. We'd have to look at what it might cost, look at what we might be able to earn from it. There are good margins on that sort of thing, so it's something well worth looking at. But certainly looking at different hours to open from that small piece of evidence, and we need to look back at a lot more back data, and I just haven't had the time to go back through months beyond April of last year, but there may be some more evidence back there to look at. It might be that what we do need to do is open in the evenings while things are going on in some of these rooms.
I agree.
And yes,
Sorry.
yeah.
I mean, one of the things, I mean, if you take my staff to at New Year's, I know I tend to have if I'm in England, I tend to have a rush on New Year's. So we have a staff do, and I invite lots of people to it, you know, New Year's Eve. And I normally spend about £2,500 on that one night.
Yes.
You know, for about 7 to 8 people. Now I'm quite happy to shift that here.
Right.
Providing you open New Year's Eve and you could actually provide, most of the Russians bring their own food, but I will tell you that we still have English food in it. Wine, beer and things like that, which I'm quite happy to pay for in advance.
Right.
Because that's what I do at the table. You know, but you need to have that flexibility, and if you haven't got that flexibility, then I can't come to the hub and say, you know, I'd like to book New Year's Eve. Because I would.
Yeah.
I'd have a New Year's Eve party. I wouldn't think about going to the Talbot.
Don't we have problems with our neighbours to doing things like that?
I don't know. That's the other thing. That
Depends how much noise his staff are going to make, really.
Well, if they're having classes,
It's not just the staff, it's the Russians.
Yeah. Oh, I see. If not, we've got the Queen Victoria Hall,
Well, yeah,
in which you can make lots of noise. You can celebrate there till midnight happily.
I'm quite happy to use either or, but I would need to have some sort of catering done, because obviously, I mean, you know, we have catering at the top, but you know, sort of like hot dogs, chips, fish, and all that sort of thing. You know, meat slices or whatever. Normally hot, and of course we have ample amount of red and white wine and beer and spirits.
Yes.
Now I know in the QBH we can do that.
Yes.
But it's a matter of whether we can incorporate the hub to do the catering, to do that sort of thing at the QBH. I'm quite happy to use the QBH for that sort of thing. But
Well,
you know, you do need that flexibility. Do you see what I mean? That's just one evening.
Yeah.
Christmas parties are another. You know, people do like to have a Christmas party, not necessarily a sit-down meal, but a Christmas do. They don't go home till after 12 o'clock at night, but they do like that. And I don't see how we can do that at the moment.
Well, I think this is something we've got to look at, definitely. The hub, we mustn't think of the hub purely as that one room. We need to think of the hub as being all of these rooms here, and we have said that it might well be that the hub staff, one or two of them, might go down to the Queen Victoria Hall if we have these indoor markets or these other indoor events that we're talking about down there, that we won't be able to do a full menu with the tiny kitchen we've got down there, but we could certainly do tea, coffee, cake at...
It's just, I mean, obviously, as I said, if you're doing a sort of party like that, you need a few hot snacks.
Yes.
You know, you don't, I'm not saying you cater for thousands of people, but if the hub could then transport that to the QBH, that is an income source.
Yes, absolutely.
But we do need to have that flexibility, and at the moment I don't think we've got it. Sorry,
Yep.
I know I'm being
No, it's-
on about it, but I think we need it.
It's something to look at. I think it's certainly something that we must look at.
Well, tell me soon, because I've got to put the toilets on.
Right.
Well, I don't know when we have a kitchen, I think it's going to be ready for Christmas.
Because we've got a kitchen.
No, I know.
I've only got about 4 staff as well.
Yeah.
4 or 5 members of staff.
Actually, funny enough,
So-
I mean, the only, the toilet only have 4 staff for 60, 70 people.
They only have 4 staff.
No, well, I'm talking about the party.
In the party
I'm
itself.
talking about the party.
Was that cooking?
Preparing food? All the food is prepared, it's just kept in heaters. you know, it doesn't take that much, you know. But anyway, it's getting the thing together. I mean, I supply the DJ because my son's DJ.
Right.
You know, all you then you do is you put tables out, put 10 or 12 tables out, they chairs around them, and they get filled.
Yep. Okay. Any more
It's not a good night,
on the hub?
If anyone else.
We've heard the advert and it's
Yeah.
recorded, so if the public listen to our meetings in vast numbers, Councillor Peel, you could have an awful lot of people suddenly contacting you for a good night out.
Actually, to be honest, the other majority don't care, but it's just a great night. And you'll see me totally sober.
Right. Okay, do we have any more on that item, on the hub? No? Okay. With that, we're going to move on to the next item. Please note that in view of the special and or confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, it is advisable in the public interest that the public be temporarily excluded, and they are instructed to withdraw our Standing Order 3C. I'm going to propose that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Chappell. Those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to ask the clerk to read the proposition for 172301.
The proposition is to consider and approve the staff structure. So then you need a proposer and a second.
Proposer.
Proposed Councillor Peel, seconded Councillor Glenn. Those in favour? It's unanimous. 172302, to consider the role of Communications and Administration Officer as a job share role.
Proposer.
Proposed Councillor Chesser, seconded Councillor Chappell. All those in favour?
Okay.
Unanimous. 172303,
To agree to review some staff job descriptions.
I'll propose that.
proposed by Councillor Chappell, seconded Councillor Chesser. All in favour? And finally, 172304,
To receive the report from the review of the accounting process for recommendation to the full council.
Proposed.
proposed Councillor Glenn, seconded Councillor Peel. All those in favour? It's unanimous.
We've had all different combinations.
Yes, we have.
We were trying for it, though. We were trying for it.
Right. It only remains for me then very quickly to go round the room. There is no other business to report tonight, but if there's anybody got anything, Councillor Peel?
It was just that we will talk about the apprenticeships at the next full council.
Yes, that will be on the agenda.
I got nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Councillor Chappell?
Just picking up on a point that was raised during the closed session, but isn't a closed session issue, but I think it would be very useful actually for this council to liaise with Thrapston going forward, because there's an opportunity for certain economies of scale,
Yes.
certain outsourced or joint facilities.
That's exactly
And with them only
why.
8 miles down the road, it would
Yeah.
make a lot of sense to talk
Yeah.
this through with them
Yeah.
formally.
That's exactly the reason.
It does.
And we might have a policy for dealing with the villages, because
Yeah.
I would suspect they'll be...
Otherwise, we'll fight over the ones in between, like Stoke Doyle and
Yes.
yeah. So rather than have that happen, we'll talk to them and we'll come up with some kind of agreement. Yes, I don't think I've got anything for this meeting. I've got one or two things immediately after this meeting to talk to one or two people about, but I think that's it. So we close the meeting at 9:07.
Thank you.
Can we go?
That's it. You can go.